to create an app, and then you've got a couple of options, okay? Manage integrations, build. This is asking you what is the app for, all right? What we want to do is to create posts, okay? So create and manage events, groups, Messenger, Instagram, Graph API, and all sorts of business integrations. This is what we want, okay? So just tick on that first one and then click on continue. All right, and then you're going to decide what is the name of the app. I like to pick the same name as the Facebook page that the app is going to be working on so that I don't confuse my apps, because as you can see, I've got quite a bit of apps already. So this is going to be the Lace Wigs app. All right, and then it's, the email address is there, and then this is for myself, and over there we're just going to leave the business manager not selected. We're going to just leave that open, and then we're going to go to create an app. Then you'll be asked to do a security check. Just click on that to make sure that you're not a bot. Yes, I am not a bot, and submit. Okay, so when you get here, you're inside of your app. Your app has been created. That's your app ID over there. All right, so if you go back to the documentation, underneath the access tokens, where you are trying to get an access token, you will see that it says you need to get it from the Graph Explorer tool, okay? So to access that Graph Explorer tool, you're gonna go to the tools at the top and find that Graph API Explorer, okay? So that's where you need to go and click on that, and then you'll be able to get an access token, all right? So when you get over here, there's a lot of apps. This Bitmaster is another app that I've got over here. This is not the app that I want to work with. So just click on the button there and go through all the multiple apps that you've got and find the apps that you want. The app that I want is this one, Lace Wigs. So I'm going to select that. And you'll see when I select Lace Wigs, there's no tokens created for this app. This is a brand new app that I just made now. So we're going to now go into the process of getting a token, okay? So when you select Lace Wigs and you go into get a token, you click on get a token, you will see the drop down opens up, and there's different types of token over here, right? You get a user access token, an app token, and a page access token, okay? The token that we want is actually the page access token, all right? And because we want to be able to post on a Facebook page, all right? But the user access token, you can also get the user access token and use the user access token to get a page access token. But I'll show you that later on in the video tutorial. For this, for the purposes of what we're doing now, we specifically want a page access token. So click on that and open up a page access token. And then it will open up a page to allow you to log into a page that you want to get an access token for. Obviously, you need to be administrator of that page in order for you to be able to get a page access token for that page. If you're not the administrator, you can't obviously get a token for somebody else's page. Then you'll be prompted to log in with your username. So you first of all logging in as a user. Then once you log in as a user, then you see your list of pages that you have, and then you can click on the page that you want. I want to do this for this Lace Wigs page, and then you're gonna click on next, and then it's gonna connect to the page. All right. So when you get here, you'll get this warning: submit for login review and blah blah blah. You know, don't get worried about this. This is mainly for people who are creating apps that, you know, like Hootsuite apps, which have websites and people can log in and do a lot of stuff on it. If you just want to post on your own Facebook page, you only need basic standard access. You don't need advanced access. So you don't need to go through this whole app review and get a business approved and all of that. You know, this is for people that want, advanced access. Okay, so you just want basic access. We're gonna ignore that, and we're gonna just say done over there. And you are now linked to Lace Wigs to Facebook. Okay, so click OK over there, and then once you've done that, all right, you will see over here all the permissions that you've got, okay? Automatically, because you've selected the page, it shows you the page show list, so to show the pages and the read engagement. But what you really want is this page access token. So just click down there and make sure you select that list, because you've just now added it to your profile or for this app. Now you have to actually select it down there, all right? And then when you select Lace Wigs South Africa, you'll see the permissions you've got. is the public profile. You can see that. You can see the read and you can see the show list. The permission you need for posting articles is actually for posting on your page is actually a post a permission, all right? So you need to go through all your permissions over there and look for that permission. There's a lot of permissions that you can add, all right? And some of these permissions, obviously, when you try to add them, then it might require advanced, access, and then it might prompt you to, then you must get an app approved. But the one that we're going to be working with, we don't need that. It's called a page manage a posts, okay? All right, so page manage posts is the permission that allows you to manage posts, which means you can create a post, you can edit a post, you can delete a post on your page. All right, so that's the permission that you need. So let's click on that. All right, and then it will say 3 options are selected. All right, so you'll see that page manage posts in green. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and just select it again. All right, and let that token refresh itself. Let's just copy our token. All right, let's copy our token and then let's go and start working on it. All right, so once we've copied our token, we're gonna go to the documentation again. All right, so and we're gonna go to the published content documentation, and then we're gonna have a look at what exactly we need to do to publish our content. All right, so this is the URL. Okay, you need to send to this URL graph.facebook.com, and then you're going to have to enter your page ID feed. All right, then once you've done that, then you're going to select the message that you want to send, and then you're going to do the page access token. Okay, so for this I'm going to use Postman. Okay, before we actually write Python code, especially when you're working with APIs, it's just good practice, and I do it all the time to work with Postman to test the API until I know that the API is working, it's sending me, and I even know exactly what gets returned back to me from the API. Then I can write code. Okay, so let's just go and look for Postman. All right, Postman is a free app that you get paid version, but what we want to do is actually free. Okay, you can just go to their website, and then you need to download the desktop version. Okay, so I'll link this out as well for you in the description where you can go and find this Postman, but I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to download it again. All right, so this is my Postman over here, and I've entered the URL, and you'll see over there I've got already if you look at the documentation, where is it? You'll see it's https://graph.facebook.com, and then the page ID at the top, and you'll see facebook.com page ID. I've got a page ID there already, but it's the wrong page ID because I was testing this with a different page. So let me just also show you on Facebook how to grab a page ID for your page. Okay, so if you go to your Facebook page here, you need to go under more, where it says more, and then you open that up, and then you go to the bottom of this, and you find about. Okay, you go to about your page, and you can see all the information about your page, and at the bottom over there you will see the page ID. All right, so just copy that page ID. All right, and that's the page ID that you need to put into your URL over there. Okay, so I'm going to go over there and replace that page ID with that one that I just got now. All right, so once you've replaced the page ID, then you need to replace the message and the access token. Okay, and if you're working with Postman, when you enter variables, you'll also see them on the query parameters. You also see the parameters down here. You'll see the message. You can even type it here. Like if you change it there and you change H, you'll see it also gets removed from the URL over there. So Postman allows you to work with it. So it's easier to work with the parameters over there. So what goes under the message parameter? Message is equals to is that message over there. That's the message that will be posted on your page. Okay, and the access token will go over here, and once you paste it over here, it will show over there as well. Okay, so we've entered the page ID, we've entered the message. Let's look for the access token. Let's go copy the access token again. So we'll go back over here and go to the graph, whatever, and make sure we've selected that Lacewigs South Africa use page, and let's copy the token again. And then we'll come over there and we will paste the token, and it needs to be a post request. Okay, it needs to be a post request on that URL. Okay, and let's send it. All right, so it's giving me this error. This requires an app being installed in the group. Where if you get an error like this tells you that your access token is wrong, or your access token itself doesn't have the permission to do the page post that you're trying to do. Okay, so if you get an error like this, double check your page ID. So this is 1051314. Just double check that this is the correct 1051, ending with a 38 at the end. All right, so the page ID is definitely correct. So the problem is going to be with your access token. So you go back to your access token, all right, and then okay, you have to click the generate access token again, because you have to log in again and grant it the permission again. That's what we hadn't done. Okay, so click next, and now it has a create and manage content on your pages, and then click done. Okay, and then once you've done that, say okay, and then your page manage posts is no longer green. I think when it's green, it means that it's pending, so you had not had that permission before, right? Then make sure that the token that you're selecting is not a user token. Click that down again, and select Lace Week so that it's a page token, and make sure this is not green. All right, I think that's the problem that we had. And then we're gonna copy the token again, and then we're gonna post it into Postman. All right, so we've posted the new token, and let's try this again. The message I'm sending is, hey guys, we have a lot of interesting stuff coming up, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what happens. There you go. So what you want to see is this, it returns, like this ID, and it has some numbers over there. The first number that you get is your page ID. Okay, so that's 105 should be the same as the number over there. That's your page ID that ends with 38, and then there's an underscore, and then you get a second number over here. Okay, this number that you get, the second one, is your post ID. All right, so you want to save this number if you want to be able to maybe edit the post in the future. You will need. Okay, so we're gonna continue where we left off. I want to show you how to schedule the posts, because to schedule like multiple random posts in advance, including images. And that's only when this sort of functionality becomes useful with, getting with the ability to automate your Facebook. Now, if you go back to where we got our Facebook keys or our access tokens, I didn't mention this before, but the access token that you get from here, whether it's the user token or you clicked at the bottom there to get your page token, both these type of tokens are short-lived tokens. Okay, so this is the part we didn't cover. If you go to the documentation, we started here already publishing content, but I was using the access token which I got from the Graph API Explorer directly from the website. Okay, so these tokens are short-lived tokens. So if you go back to the documentations, you'll see the explanation of a short-lived token and a long-lived token. So the short-lived token is the one that you get from the Graph Explorer tool, is what I took you through to get that token. The problem with that token is that it expires in an hour. Okay, so you can't schedule posts with it on your, even though it works, but we had just generated it, and within an hour, for as long as we use it within the hour, it's good to go. But it expires, and then you have to regenerate. So if you have to write a program, like a Python program, to schedule stuff over like a week or 2 weeks, it's not going to work. You're going to need to get a long-lived token. So I'm going to take you through the process of acquiring the long-lived token, because even to acquire the long-lived token, you need to start with a short token. So we're going to go back here, and I don't know if I should just close this. We're going to go back here, and we're going to get our short-lived token. Okay, there's two types of short-lived token, but the one that you need to get started with this process is the user token. Okay, so return to user token. This user token, make sure you've selected that and then copy that at the top. That's the token that you need to get started. That's the user that is connected directly to your account, and provided you have set up your app properly and you followed all the instructions that I did for you, and you own the page, you should be able to get the page token from the user token. So once you have the user token, all right, you come back here and you get a long-lived user token. You need the short-lived user token to get the long-lived user token, all right? And here is the curl request for it, okay? You're gonna send a request to this URL, all right? You're gonna grant, and you're gonna specify that you need to grant the exchange token, and then you're gonna enter your app ID, you're gonna enter your app secret, and then you're gonna enter the short-lived user access token. Okay, the user access token is the one that you just got now. Okay, so there's three things you need: the app ID, the app secret, and the user token. Okay, so I've copied this whole thing, all right, and I've pasted it on a Postman. This is why I like to use Postman for this. Personally, I think to generate the tokens, you can do this on Postman because you do it once and then you're going to get a long-lived token for like, what, 60 days. And then you're going to do it again after 60 days. So you don't have to code this in, all right? You can code this to replicate every 60 days. But I think for now, let's just do it manually so you can understand exactly what we're doing here, all right? So I've pasted that URL at the top. And the moment you paste the URL at the top there, you know what Postman does for you is that it shows for you, your client ID, and it shows for you all the different variables that go into this. Don't worry, I'm going to change these after I'm done with this, but I just wanted to show you so that you can see what's happening here, all right? So the client ID, this client ID, all right, which is the client ID, is actually the app ID, all right? So you're going to go to your app, and this is where I was, all right? And you're going to get your app ID there, all right? So that's that app ID, and that's the number that goes in there. And then you need the client secret, okay? And the client secret is the app secret, all right? So you're going to go back into your app, and you're going to go into the settings. You're going to go into the app basic, all right? And then you're going to get the app secret there, all right? Don't worry, I'm going to change this app secret once I'm done with this video. But you show that secret, you copy it, all right, and then you paste it there. So you've got the app ID that is associated, and then you got the app secret, and then you need the exchange token. The exchange token is your short-lived token, right? So the short-lived token, which is the one which you got over there, all right, this short-lived token, make sure it's the user short-lived token. You go and you put it over there, and then it's the short-lived token. And then this builds the whole URL. So you've got the ID, the secret, and the token, and then you run this request. When you run this request, it's going to return, I'm not going to run the request, but when you run it, I've got everything you need to run it. It's going to return for you the long-lived user access token. So what this does over here, it exchanges the short-lived for a long-lived, and then the long-lived will return like that, okay? Then when you get the long-lived token, you use that to get the page token, because the user token is limited. You can do stuff with the user token already, by the way. You can go to your Facebook, you can pull your posts, you can do a lot of stuff with your long-lived token. You can check your you can read like your posts that are on your timeline. You can do a lot of stuff, but that's not what we want. We want to get the page token because we want to post on the page, okay, that we manage. So from that long-lived token, we're going to generate a page access token. And keep in mind here, even according to the documentation there, that this token is valid for 60 days, as opposed to the short-lived token, which you get off here, which is valid for 1 hour. If you do this, you're going to get a token that is valid for 60 days. So for 60 days, you can use this token, it's going to work. But 60 days later, you're going to have to come and replace it again. But now that we've got a long-lived token, we're going to go here to get the page token, okay? So for the page token, here's a URL, okay? It's Graph Facebook. You need the page ID. The page ID is that number that I showed you how to get off the page. If you go to the page itself and you go to under more, and I showed you go to about, you will get your page ID, all right? So once you get the page ID, where will we? Okay, you get the page ID, and then you need the fields access token. Don't change that. Only change the stuff that's in the curly braces, and the next thing you need to change is the user access token, all right? So this is where you're going to enter your long-lived access token. By the way, you can do this with a short-lived access token as well, all right? So if you use the short-lived access token to get a page access token, you will get a page access token that's valid for an hour. So the short-lived one gives you a short-lived page token, all right? But if you then have transferred your short, exchange it for the long one, and you have the long one, and you enter the long one in here, you're gonna be returned a page token that is has no expiration date. That's what Facebook says. Let's hope that is the case. So I've copied all of this, all right, and I've gone into my Postman, all right, and then I've pasted the URL there, and you'll see the fields are the access token, and the second field is now that long-lived user access token, right? So you put in the long-lived user access token here, you run this request, it's going to return for you a page-lived access token, but it's a long-lived access token that doesn't have an expiration date. So that's the access token that you're going to take, and when you come to your where were we? Let's just close this. You're gonna come to your Python program, and inside of your config document, you have a config document. This is the one that we're importing at the top, and inside of your config document, paste that long-lived page access token there. All right. And I've also moved my page ID to the config document, okay? So every time I need to access the config document, the page ID, I'll just say config.pageid. Make sure it's saved in the same directory. So I've saved my config in the same directory. I won't show you the config file because I don't want to show you my long-lived access token, all right? I mean, what you're seeing here is just like the first 5 digits of it. Where is it? Whatever, you know, on the Postman. It's just like the first 10% of the token. The token is really, really long, all right? So that's why I don't want to show you the